Hello again, friends, and welcome to another segment of Doc G's Wine and Spirits Review. If you remember, last time I saw you, we were doing the new arrivals of a few wines here in Doc G's Wine Cellar. Tonight, I'm going to feature a few of the new spirits arrivals that have come into my possession since within the last few weeks, let's say. And I'm going to feature for you tonight a bourbon, a tequila, and a gin. And they are two of the three actually are Pennsylvania products, and I'll feature that as we go through the segment for this evening. So as you see here, one of the things I want to point out as we go through this presentation tonight, I'm really not here to talk about cocktails that you may make from the three of these spirits. My point is to let you know where to get them, let you know that there are cocktails available for them. But tonight, what I would like to do as we go through each one of these is just take a little sip, and that's why I have these rocks glasses assembled here for you. No matter when I get a spirit or a wine, one of my rituals is to take a little sip of each one of them to make sure it is something that is going to be favorable to my palate. A lot of the time you don't get the chance to do that, depending on where you have purchased the item. But in terms of trying to educate you on what I think you might want to do when you purchase these things, is try out what I'm going to show you tonight to give you an idea how these spirits, just like wines, have their own flavor profile. By the time you take one of these spirits and dilute it in a cocktail, it tends to lose its pure flavor profile. What I'd like to do for you tonight is show you how each one of these has its own flavor profile before it ever gets into a mixed drink. Having said that, I would say that most of the time, while I do like cocktails, I prefer many of these spirits straight. And when I say straight, I don't mean taking a shot glass and banging one back. I'm too old for that. I prefer to sip these and enjoy them for what they are. My taking shots days are over. So if that's what you're still into, just be careful. But that's not what I'm here to espouse to you this evening. So let me start with, I'm going to try to go from light to dark again here. So what I'd like to do is introduce to you a new gin that I brought into my fold. And this one is called Honeycomb Gin. And this gin is made for me locally, for you Pennsylvania residents. It's made in the Bluebird Distillery, Bluebird Distilling. It's on Bridge Street in Phoenixville, which I highly recommend for those of you who are local here to get yourself down to Phoenixville and explore all that it has to offer. My spot here tonight isn't meant to be an advertisement for Phoenixville, but that's where the Bluebird Distilling is. It's on the 100 block of Bridge Street. I'll post these things for you so that you can explore them at your will. And you can also, if you happen to be from out of state, they ship pretty far and wide. And I can tell you this is a very great new discovery. I discovered it a couple of weeks ago. I brought it home, and as you can see, I haven't really had much of it, but I have had some of it. So let me take a little sample of it for you. And the way I like to sample my spirits when I first get them is what I'm going to show you tonight. In a rocks glass like this, not in a shot glass, because these also have a nose to them. With an ice cube, just one little ice cube, because the water in the beverage, whatever it is, whiskey, bourbon, tequila, gin, whatever other spirit that you have, that little bit of water in it brings out the essential aromas in the distillate, which all of these are. These are obviously all distilled, they're not fermented. And it really helps to open it up, and it frankly makes it a little smoother so it doesn't burn your throat. Most of these are quite high in ABV. So let me pour just a little sample for you here of our honeycomb gin, and take a little, let the ice melt in it a little bit. Definitely a juniper background. It's a gin, but it's also got some honey on the nose, which is why it's called honeycomb gin. This has just been released by Bluebird Distilling. So let me take a sip. Wow, it's got a little sweetness, you get the little honey, and you get the pininess from the ginger. Now, I can tell you, I had a honeycomb martini when I first tasted this. I was actually at the distillery, and they had some drinks that they offered up as cocktails. I'll be honest with you, I didn't prefer it as a martini. It's too much for me. The way that I can see this being it's optimal is to make yourself a nice gin and tonic, add a little lemon juice, or just squeeze a little lemon in it. Add some tonic, whatever tonic you prefer, and put a lemon wedge in it and have at it, because this is a wonderful gin. So let me talk a little bit about it. Let me put the lid back on here. And as I always do, I read from the bottle. Let me read to you what they have to say about it. This is a celebration of nature. We combine a delicate array of juniper, citrus, and botanicals to our spirit, and then blend in floral, seasonal, wildflower honey. What can't you like about that? If you don't like honey, you won't like this, because it really does have a honeyed flavor. The gin and wildflower honey combine, creating subtle sweet notes of lemon meringue pie. Can't complain about that. A little black pepper, honeysuckle, fresh evergreen, and light vanilla. These guys are doing a fantastic job. They make gin, they make whiskey, they make vodka. They even have their own version of a tequila. Check them out. They're on Bridge Street in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. I'll post their website for you so that you can explore them on your own. So before we leave them behind, you go, oh, how can you, Doc G, how can you drink gin straight? This tastes like alcoholized honey. It's fantastic. Now, I would just warn you, as I always do, when you're dealing with spirits, please be careful. While I do enjoy all forms of alcohol, I always do it with care and caution, because I do not want to see anybody overdo this very powerful chemical called ethanol. You can do it. So just be careful. Just enjoy it for what it is and move on from there. This is 90 proof. It's distilled from grain. It's 45% ABV. So when I talk to you about wines, most of those are 13, 15 if they're big. So this is 3 times as powerful as wine. So let's do the math. If it's 3 times as powerful, I'm recommending you only have 1/3 as much, so it balances out. So when you want to have this, depending on what your situation is, 1 or 2 of these and no more. Please, just be careful. These are all very powerful substances. I want you to enjoy them, not have them take you over. So enough said. Enough of the lecture there. Let me set that one aside. Bluebird Distilling Honeycomb Gin. It goes for approximately, I think I spent somewhere close to $40 for a bottle of this. It's not been widespread yet in the Pennsylvania wine and spirit shops, but they do ship. So when I post it, you can have yourself, and explore it and see if you're interested. So let me take another sip of that. That's quite good. So let's move on to our next light colored new addition new arrival to Doc G's Wine and Spirits, to my cellar. The next thing I'm going to offer to you is a tequila. Now, truth be told, I am not a tequila drinker. This is the first bottle of tequila, true story here, that I have bought and had in this house, I'm going to say 20 years. I don't buy tequila. I do like some drinks with tequila in it, but I'm going to tell you a little backstory about this one called El Jimador. And tequila is a substance that comes from blue agave. This one is 100% blue agave. My purpose here tonight, in order not to run too long, is not to get into the various styles of tequila, because there are many. There's reposado, there's añejo, there's extra añejo, there's aged. This is called a blanco, or a silver tequila. So I'll do a spot on that on its own, because I've avoided doing that because I'm not a real big tequila consumer. For those of you that love it, it's great. I have had some drinks recently, some margaritas that have blown me away. But I'm just not one that keeps it around, because I just don't drink a lot of tequila. But I bought this one to have it, and I have it now, and it's a new addition to my cellar. So the connection to me for El Jimador, which is available in Pennsylvania and probably widespread, is that 20 years ago, my wife and I spent our 25th, at that time, wedding anniversary in Acapulco. And we stayed at an all-included resort, and one of the tequilas that they served was El Jimador. And lo and behold, as I did my research on this, I found out that El Jimador, while it is not the most top-shelf tequila, because tequilas, and again, I don't want to make this an expose on tequilas, can range from dirt cheap to a couple $100s a bottle, depending on how it was aged, etc., etc. Just like most liquors, you can go from just the regular prices all the way to the top shelf. This is not a top shelf tequila. It's also not a bottom shelf tequila. This is, based on the research that I found, the most popular tequila in Mexico. So to me, it was worthy enough, and as a memory, it was one that I wanted to try again. Now tequilas, if you're not into tequilas, can be a little bit rough. So we're going to do a little sample here of El Jimador. You can see it's 100% blue agave. This is only 80 proof. When I say 80 proof, that's still not weak. Twist off top, and you go, oh my God, how can you drink tequila straight? Well, let me tell you this. It's not straight. It's in an ice cube. That means it's been diluted. But it also tends to do what I just mentioned. It releases the esters, the chemicals in the alcohol, and it smooths them out to a degree that, you know, when you throw back a shot, it burns for a reason. You're drinking some pretty strong stuff. So this is a little bit woody. There's a little bit of, tequila always has that it's almost like citrusy. It's a little bit of sweetness. See, now that's not bad. You fire back a shot of this, you're going like, your eyes start rolling back in your head. This does very well in a margarita with Cointreau, anything that's orange based, and there are a whole host of tequila recipes and things, the old kamikazes that people used to do in the old shot days with tequila. So this is a beverage that lends itself to nice, warm summer weather, and if you have had margaritas with a little bit of the Cointreau to sweeten it up, put a little sugar in it to make it better, some lime in it, makes a fantastic cocktail. My purpose here tonight is, again, when I'm dealing with a spirit, I like to just taste the spirit pure. so that I know when I have it in a mixed drink what it's going to do for me. One of the fortunate things is cocktails and mixed drinks will tend to blunt bad alcohol. However, great alcohol in a mixed drink will only make that mixed drink that much better. So before you settle for cheap, settle for what's good and what mixes well. Do your research, check out what it is you want. So one more sip of this, and in total honesty, I didn't go to Mexico to get this. I went to the wine and spirit shop here in PA. It was much cheaper to do it that way. So, if you're interested in a tequila and one that you want to explore, this is a good starting point. You just want to make sure you get one that's 100% blue agave, because that's the way the good tequila starts, and then it's distilled from there. So let's set El Jimador aside, and we'll go to our last new spirit, new arrival in Doc G's Wine and Spirits cellar. So let me put another ice cube in here. That's all you need. I don't like shot glasses for this stuff. Throwing back a shot, all you do is get your throat burned. You put your nose in a glass here, and it tastes great. So the next thing I want to offer to you is a Pennsylvania bourbon, which is really a combination of, it's distilled out of state and then brought back and aged here in Pennsylvania. And this, a little backstory is how I found this. My wife and I like to go to a local restaurant called B2B. And they had a drink on the menu called The Resurgent. And the cocktail was this bourbon, some sweet vermouth, and some Luxardo. And then a Luxardo cherry dropped in the drink. Powerful, but you only need one of them. Fantastic, lovely beverage called The Resurgent. Now, so I did my research and found this one, and this is 52% alcohol by volume. So this is big. This is 104 proof. This is powerful. I would recommend that if you have this sometime, or anything this strong, have one. Take a break, drink some water, eat some food. Don't have too many. So this one is made from, it's local. And the reason that I mention this one is because I'm very into trying to do local wine and spirits to the extent possible. This one is bottled by the Brandywine Branch Distillers. They make they are also the Revivalist Spirits. They're located in Elverson, Pennsylvania. They do gin, they do whiskey, and they're now doing vodka. I'll post their website so you can see this place. I would highly recommend that you go visit. Just a side note, they make a gin that is infused with jalapeno. My wife loves hot and spicy food. She loves their jalapeno gin. They're not related. This is a whole different operation, but they are involved with the Brandywine Branch Distillers in Elverson, Pennsylvania. So as you can see here, I've been hitting this bottle just a little, and I'm going to hit it a little more now in front of you. So, let's taste a little bit of the Resurgent. I just love bourbon. Knob Creek's my go-to bourbon. This might take its place. That's even strong with the ice cube in it, but it's got a little caramel on it, a little pepper. It definitely has a nose of smoke and wood because it's been aged in barrels. This does not need anything else with it. But I can tell you, true confession, I've made a bourbon Negroni with this. Put a little Campari with it, a little bit of sweet vermouth, a little orange rind, chill it and sip it, and then it's time to take a nap. Very powerful, and it's very good. So, and this goes for $40 a bottle, and it's available at in Elverson at their shop, or you can get it at your local PA Wine and Spirits. And I know that these places do ship. Let me go back. I forgot to mention that El Jimador is available in PA Wine and Spirits, and this is a medium price tequila, about $25 a bottle. So you have the Resurgent. It is nosed for balance and sweetness with a soft mouthfeel, delicate notes of wildflower, honey, peach, and peppery vanilla. Can be opened with a splash of pure spring water. I didn't use the spring water, but I did put the ice cube in here, and believe me, without the ice cube, this is too rough. You put that little ice cube in there, and you put like a shot, even less than a shot, if you just want a little sip. It's wonderful. So, Resurgent Bourbon Whiskey. This one's actually called the Young American. The first and the last one that I showed you are all small batch. This one is mass produced in Mexico. It's not a problem. It's just the way tequila is made. But again, I feel good about supporting local businesses with, it says right in the front of the bottle here, proudly aged and bottled in Elverson, Pennsylvania. A long time ago, I used to work in that town. I'll save that for another time. But it says this younger variation on our custom cask bourbon is distilled and aged from a specifically designed mash bill with a higher corn content and a balanced rye content, lending the spirit a spicy, complex perfection. I have nothing more to add to that. It is very good. So, with that said, let me pour a little final splash and say to you, thanks for joining me. And until the next time, stay safe, stay cool, and cheers.